You shouldn't have to live this way, in fear.
They're the ruthless criminal organizations behind mass murders, assassinations, and kidnappings. And investigators say the Mexican drug cartel is here, secretly living among us. One man says he now patrols his property, armed and ready for his own drug war.
In our CBS 13 investigation, Maria Medina treads back into the backcountry for the all-too-real confirmation of the cartel's entrenchment and their refusal to leave.
Somewhere in Calaveras County, a rancher whom we'll only call James for his protection has agreed to take a CBS 13 photographer, producer, and me on a hike through his property. He and his men are all armed, with one serving as a lookout.
That way, if we get in trouble, he can get us some help.
We're repeatedly warned to keep quiet and be ready to confront a violent marijuana militia, willing to do anything to protect their pot.
Just don't know if you run into somebody that wants to shoot you or stab you.
James is talking about the Mexican drug cartel. Investigators say the cartel has moved in on his land.
14 decapitated bodies were discovered in a vehicle.
There was the summary beheading of 200 migrants.
International news reports reveal the carnage. The cartel infamous for its merciless, menacing, and brutal drug-related crimes in Mexico. They are now his neighbor, low-level workers hired by drug lords to grow marijuana on James's 2,100-acre ranch, more than 1,200 miles away from the deadly border town of Juarez.
And as soon as we seen it was a grow, we backed out of here.
James found the first marijuana grow after discovering tire tracks and footprints. 1,000 plants as tall as 6 feet. This is what's left after Calaveras County Sheriff's investigators got rid of the grow. But there's more to this nightmare for James.
I got 6 grows on my property.
He's uncovered thousands of pot plants worth millions of dollars. James now believes someone's been working here undetected for at least a couple of years.
Do you ever feel like this problem's ever going to go away?
I feel that it might slow down a little bit, but I don't think it's going to go away.
I believe that the cartel does exist within California.
An undercover Calaveras County drug enforcement sergeant says they've cleared more than 50,000 plants this past year, an estimated street value of more than $50 million. It's a level of organized crime and numbers they can't keep up with.
The persons we arrest generally have no information as to who the actual person is behind that growing operation.
They say they're finding grows operated by the cartel all over Northern California. When growers are forced out of one property, they just simply move on to someone else's. In some cases, they return.
We're a manufacturing point.
Assistant U.S. Attorney Mike Beckwith says he knows why the cartel chooses to work in our area.
This part of Northern California is a very popular area because, especially for the ones that are distributing out of the state, because you just can get to the freeways so quickly.
He's helped prosecute hundreds of cases, including one of the largest drug seizures in his district.
This grow is up off of 80 outside of Auburn.
It's a case with a clear tie to one of the most well-known Mexican drug cartels, La Familia. Investigators found Fausto Diaz with 600 pounds of methamphetamine, cocaine, and marijuana plants. He worked out of a home in Gilroy that served as a large source for drugs in the Bay Area.
There's a tremendous amount of money involved in it.
It also means a lot of money property owners like James must spend to clean up the damage and mess left behind.
Yep, they had a scale in there.
So 3 weeks ago, someone was living here?
Yes.
Crude living quarters complete with a mud oven and stove.
All this has to be cleaned up.
James found another grow on his property when he stumbled on this irrigation pipe. The growers had buried it underground and used a pond as a water source.
They tapped a reservoir and, of course, drained all the water, so that affects me and the cattle.
But the most frightening experience for James is when he came face to face with 2 drug smugglers. Luckily, in that case, they only watched him as he backed away. But he says he's also stumbled on clothing hanging on branches, a sign he's been told that they will kill. And that's why he now carries a lethal weapon and wears a bulletproof vest.
It's been 50 years since I've been back here on horseback. I don't even walk it back here.
Because you have no reason.
No reason to, no.
But now you do.
James is now forced to police the vast land that his family's owned for decades, knowing he's sharing it with the most notorious organized criminals in the world. and there's nothing else he can do about it.
You shouldn't have to live this way, in fear because somebody's on your ground that's willing to shoot you to protect their grow.
And James thinks someone who knows his property showed growers where to go so they wouldn't get caught. He thinks this is an inside job. Those growers have not been arrested. Law enforcement says if you happen to come across a pot grow on your land, walk away and call 911.